Is the border closed? Do you believe that the border is closed, or is it open?
It's open, not closed. The border is open.
The border is open. Do you believe that all the migrants believe that the border is open?
Yeah, everybody believes that the border is open. It's open because we enter, we come in, free, no problem.
But it's open for you to come illegally, right?
Illegally, yes, illegally, that's true.
And you came illegally.
Yeah, we came illegally, not legal.
Amazing. So grateful for our next two guests. We have a man who studies immigration and a man who covers the border at the border. Mark Krikorian is the executive director of the Center for Immigration Studies, and Jorge Ventura is the field reporter for Daily Caller. Both gentlemen, thank you for being here. Jorge, start with you. What are you seeing at the border? You're one of the best reporters at the border in the country. You've been there all the time. What are you seeing today?
As of right now, we're literally seeing towns overrun. So like last week, I was in El Paso. We were interviewing Venezuelan women and children that were being forced to sleep on the streets after their shelters have reached capacity. I'm currently in the Eagle Pass area, which Eagle Pass right now has been the deadliest crossing point. Majority of the migrants here drown crossing in that Rio Grande River. It's gotten to the point here, Mike, that they've been so overwhelmed by the migrant deaths. I actually spoke to Deputy Constable here, Frank Bowles, who says that they're seeing between 1 to 2 deaths per day. That's only the bodies that they can pull out of the Rio Grande River. They're starting to actually have to bury migrants in their local cemetery because their countries won't take the bodies back. As of right now, the latest update I got from local officials here in Eagle Pass is they're requesting refrigerated trailers from the state so they can at least preserve the bodies for 24 to 72 hours. And also that 24 to 72 hours will give officials more time to at least get an ID for these migrants. The majority of the migrants that are being buried at these local cemeteries here, who are basically they're running out of space. The local officials, they're actually are not being ID'd right now. You also on the crosses, you'll see John Doe for the adult males, you see Jane Doe for the females, and you'll see baby John Doe for the kids who have drowned here. So it's a true humanitarian crisis.
Wow. Mark Krikorian, Center for Immigration Studies. What are you seeing big picture? What are you seeing numbers-wise and any changes for over the last couple of years or even months?
Well, I mean, since January of 2021, the numbers have increased dramatically. Over the course of the Biden administration, so we're talking more than a year and a half, this administration has released into the United States more than 1.3 million illegal border crossers. Now, some of the numbers you hear are bigger because those are people arrest numbers, and some of those people arrested are sent back. But as far as letting people in and releasing them into the country, over 1.3 million. And if you add what they call gotaways, people that the Border Patrol kind of knows about, they may have pictures or footprints, but they didn't catch them, you're at 2 million plus illegal immigrants who are coming in, taking advantage one way or the other of the Biden administration's lax border policies. And it's not sustainable. There was an economic advisor in the Nixon administration who said if something can't continue forever, it won't. I don't see how this can continue.
Mark, where are these people? So they release them and they go to a city, wherever. Sometimes they're flown, whether by the Biden administration or DeSantis or Abbott or whoever, but they're across the country. But then what? What are they doing?
Well, a lot of them are going to where they have relatives. Most of the people who are getting bused or flown by DeSantis or what have you, those people usually don't have relatives. And so they're kind of, at loose ends. That's why they're just sleeping on the streets in El Paso. But most of the folks have relatives. The relatives are often the ones who paid to have them smuggled in the first place. And so they're going to wherever, to Miami and Chicago and wherever, and getting jobs. Some of them have work permits because the Biden administration is actually giving out work permits to illegal aliens like lollipops. Others don't, but they just get jobs illegally. I mean, that's what they're coming for, is jobs. Mainly is they're coming for jobs, and we have zero enforcement of the ban on hiring illegal aliens.
Jorge, what are you seeing on the types of people? And that could be from where, ages, etc. And what have the people you've talked to, what has been their motivation for taking this very long trek? I mean, people from Venezuela, it's like 6 weeks or something to get here, right? To get here. What's causing this?
Yeah, I'll start with the motivation. So, I mean, one huge thing that really, I would say, started the whole humanitarian crisis, border crisis, is just the lack of deterrence. There's no remain in Mexico policy. So, if you're a migrant right now, there's almost, I mean, just the risk is just putting yourself in the smugglers' hands. But once you touch U.S. soil, you essentially finished, got to the finish line. One thing that I find really interesting is when the migrants are actually crossing illegally now, compared to when I was first covering this last year, is migrants now, when they cross illegally, they could be on Facebook Live. They're FaceTiming a friend. They're taking selfies. It's a celebration. So there's that lack of deterrence has been a huge motivation, and social media as well. So majority of migrants that I speak to now say, well, hey, I already have a family member that's crossed illegally. They're in the United States. If you interview somebody from Venezuela, the majority of them are headed to Florida. What's interesting, Mike, is depending on the crossing point, it really kind of changes the people that you run into. I think the most interesting, fascinating crossing point from my perspective is Yuma, Arizona, because in Yuma, Arizona, I'm running into migrants from Belarus, from Russia, Georgia, Uzbekistan, Peru, Brazil, Cuba. I mean, literally from over 100 different countries. I ran even to migrants from Afghanistan. And a lot of these migrants that are coming in from Europe are figuring out that all you got to do is literally just fly into the Mexicali airport. You fly into a Mexicali airport. From there, a human smuggler could take you to Los Algodones, and you cross illegally into Yuma. We documented this human smuggling operation many times in Yuma. But I would say you're really seeing migrants from all over the world, especially that Yuma sector. There's actually a nickname for it. They call it the long distance migrant. There in Yuma, you'll meet people from literally all over the world, and right now they're getting a huge influx of Russians who are coming into Yuma, Arizona.
Wow. Why Yuma why there over any other place?
Well, what's interesting, Mike, is that Mexicali airport is playing a huge role. So a lot of migrants are figuring out that if they could just get to that Mexicali airport, maybe flying in, you could actually avoid a lot of that long trek. And from getting to the Mexicali airport, the local businesses and smugglers kind of know how it works. What's fascinating is if you interview Cubans, right? Because a lot of what I get from my audience is, well, how are Cubans who are on this island getting to Mexico? Well, what's interesting is that Cubans are actually flying into Nicaragua because Nicaragua isn't requiring a visa for Cubans to land in. So a lot of Cubans will fly into Nicaragua and then begin their journey up there. One of the more underreported stories is the Mexican officials also feeling the humanitarian crisis in Tapachula. So many migrants, when they cross illegally, the first town that they'll get to is in south of the border in Mexico is Tapachula. From there, the officials in Tapachula are actually giving migrants these humanitarian visas. They're basically fake humanitarian visas, giving them 30-day, 60-day fake humanitarian visas to give these migrants a legality to travel through Mexico, but then to cross illegally inside the United States. So when I'm in the Mexican side, you'll see these humanitarian visas really discarded all over the Mexican side before these migrants cross over. So the Mexican officials are really feeling this as well.
Yeah, okay, let me ask you that, Jorge. What is Mexico's role in all this? What's their motivation? I'm sure they don't want these people either, right? Or I don't know. What's their goal in Mexico?
For what I've been seeing is they don't want any of these migrants. So what they're doing is they're issuing these, what I say is fake humanitarian visas. So they're literally giving these people a 30-day, 60-day pass to say, hey, just get out of Tapachula and get to the U.S. This card will literally let you travel legally. Now, another kind of twist in this was Governor Greg Abbott actually made about 4 agreements with 4 Mexican state governors along the border to stop the flow of illegal crossers. This was back in April. That hasn't happened at all. So anytime I've seen Abbott so far 2 times, I've pressed him on this issue and said, hey, Governor, you've said there would be consequences for these governors if they didn't stop the flow of illegal crossings. Well, the numbers have only gotten worse, especially that Eagle Pass area. We're seeing even more deaths. So we've been trying to press the governor on what those consequences look like for those Mexican state governors for not following his agreement.
Hey, Slater Crusaders, maybe you've heard that the border is totally out of control. It's complete chaos. No, don't worry. Kamala's got it all under control. It's very secure, she tells you. Give me a break. We're going to talk with a reporter on the ground. Give us a live on-the-ground update on what exactly is happening at our border, who is coming here, and why. We'll also talk with some incredible experts, including a sheriff and a congressman, about the effects of crime that this has on the rest of the country. We must get this under control. We must get order at our border. That's coming up on thefirsttv.com. You can download it for free at thefirsttv.com.